recording. It's great to have all of you here. Before we start, there are 2 articles that we want to share during this presentation. So go to File on your screen, go down to Transfer, click that, and a little menu will open. Click on either of the files if you want to download them and transfer them right to your computer. If you can't do that, we'll be sending it to you tomorrow anyway. The 2 articles are Grammar, a Weapon Against Disease, and Scientists Prove DNA Can Be Reprogrammed by Words and Frequency. Both very good articles. There is another link that I would like to share. Well, actually 2 links. One is Wesley Clark, and we did an evaluation of him. And if you want to know what's going on with Syria and these other countries, you could watch this link. We don't have time to do it here. And he predicts in 2007 exactly what's going to happen, and that's where we are right now. Another one is about another link, the Surviving Obamacare. Not everything bad about Obamacare, but there are a few glitches that worry people. And I think once you see this link, moneymorning.com, you will see exactly who's behind Obamacare. And it is the pharmaceutical companies. As they read through to you what Obamacare can do in terms of vaccinations and pharmaceuticals, you know, as Richard says, follow the money. Now, don't listen to the way to make money out of Obamacare. I was dusting my computer apparently. I don't know what you sent, Judy. Did nothing coming over this way. And when you see me or hear me stop in the middle of something and answer a question, it's from the chat, so you guys can watch the chat too. So don't mind or don't pay attention to buy pharmaceutical stock now because it's going to run the world, but that's enough to tell you where that's coming from. I just thought it was an incredibly revealing piece of information. So those 2 articles, people are still coming in. 2 articles that you can download by going to File and Transfer. And if not, we'll send them to you tomorrow to everyone that has participated. Remember that we record this and it'll be available for you for 2 weeks. We used to do it for a week, and so now we just put on something private so only you guys can get into it. We're going to be talking this evening about respiration, about bioacoustics, and I wanted to share something with you before we got going here. We have a new download, Insulin Resistance. If you'd like to pull that down and use it. And for Guardians, I don't know how long they do it for. They may do it for a year. I can't remember. And there's a new keynote up for you and what all the frequencies that are coming to the planet. I wanted to let you know, too, that for the professional class, we are going to be doing things about respiration, asthma, mapping, and we have 3 matching scholarships. We're holding it for one for a special person that's really trying hard to get here, but there are some matching scholarships again, only 3 now, available for October. We're going to be changing the class probably in December, where the 2-day course will be mandatory, and then the 5-day class will be shortened. We'll take that first day of public stuff out of it and add more information to the end to make your life easier so that you'll be able to do all of this in just a few minutes instead of having to hunt and much. So those 2 announcements, and we'll go ahead and get started. So this is about the article about DNA can be reprogrammed by words and frequencies. I think Emoto already taught us some of that with water, but this is a profound article. The next article, oops, one back. The next article, Grammar, a Weapon Against Disease, and it shows that the DNA sequences have the same syntax and grammar as our languages. An eye-opening article by a very young, award-winning writer. This article won an award for writers who inspire and fascinate their audience through the wonders of the science. So as we look at these and we see that the universe is catching up with us. AT&T has announced that we're the medicine of the future. Lots of articles coming out. There's now a little thing about as big as a grain of rice that they can put inside your body, and GlaxoSmithKline is doing this, called electroceuticals, and they're putting frequencies in the body. Mostly they're doing it for pain, like a TENS unit, but it's happening. And we have tried to get in touch with them. We're a little reluctant to do that. We really don't know what their goal is, but we think we could help them a lot, whether they think we are of any significance or we're just out there to be taken over. That's something else. So it is with bioacoustics, and we're going to share that with you today. We're from the Institute of Bioacoustic Biology and Sound Health. We're going to have a big conference here in May. We hope all of you will get to come and visit. I think they're going to do one day for just the guardians and the public, and then some of the rest of the days for the professional people who've taken the course and actually use this in a treatment phase, although I'm not allowed to say that word. So this is for members of the Guardians of the People.com. It's a closed network. If you are not a member, we ask that you get off now because they'll find out about it and they won't like that very much. Mainly because you have to sign paperwork that you're not of the government, you're not here to shut us down, you're not here to keep this wonderful information from the public. So we want everybody here to be in a mode of making a difference, helping others as you help yourself. The two-day class is coming up October 3rd and 4th. Any of you that want to get in touch with us about that, please do. It's going to be a pre-course to the 5-day. And when you take the 5-day, they'll give you your money back for this. So it's like getting to take this course for free. We also want to help you with marketing and bringing bioacoustics to life. We have a whole manual for that. So let us know if you're ready to do that, and we will help you. In most cases, we already have flyers and forms and everything made up for you so you can do a course. You can teach these public programs to your community. Somebody talked to Melissa about missing the download. She just sent me a message. So this is, Tommy's joining the meeting. Welcome, Tommy. I didn't think you were going to be here. I thought you had a gig this afternoon. So we're going to work with respiration and our schedule. Software instructions for the Audacity. And audacity.sourceforge.net is how we take samples of a voice, abacus, to look at the important points of interest in the voice. Then the respiration software, will be sent a link to that tomorrow. And then bundling, and that's very important for you to begin to start your business. People wanted more information about bundling, and they also wanted more information about hyperhealth. So we're going to include that. Before we get started, we have some gifts that you can share with other people. This is Miracles of Non-Medicine, available on YouTube or on our site under Downloads, under Secret Stash. The Miracles of Non-Medicine is for your doctor friends, and Breaking the Sound Barriers of Disease is for people who are interested in some of the ancient history of all of this. We do have several new articles on the front page of soundhealthoptions.com, and we didn't announce those, did we? We should have, because there's several articles there. We're also coming out in a new book with Sonia Barrett. We're chapter 5, and it's about the business of disease to go along with the new video that she's doing. That should be coming out December 1st. We would like to invite you to join us for happy hour, not only because we like doing it and we're going to do something on anti-aging, but there's about 20 hour-long presentations there that will help you learn to use the software and abacus and all of that easier. We are doing a new show. We've had 3 already, Vocal Profiling Live. Every other week we do happy hour. So in that same time spot we do Vocal Profiling Live. And last week it was about perfect partners. And we did the royal couple, Rihanna and Chris Brown, and also Miley Cyrus, and what kind of partner she would really like. If you think she's a nutcase for doing the things she's doing, she's not. She's very stable. She has a great foundation. She's just a very astute business person. This was just a publicity stunt. But I did think it was important and funny all at the same time that the most dominant note in her chart was the note of ecstasy. And that's what she did that Molly song about. So you'll get to see her foundation. We compared it to Obama and some other people, and you'll find out she very much has her feet planted on the ground. So welcome to Health for the People, by the People. We'll be here for the next couple of hours discussing respiration. Isn't that a beautiful, beautiful graphic? Tommy did that. That's the graphic for the software. And there is so much going on. Allergies and pollens and Fukushima and mold. This year, especially in Ohio, there's been a lot of mold until it forced me to turn on and try to remember to do my ozone machine, because that was the only thing that was helping. Mold was growing daily in the shower and in the drain of the sink. So it was very prolific here, and mold can really cause a problem. If you look at the keynote for today, there is a mold that's active right now because of the frequencies coming from these interstellar places. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's coming in. And it's causing blood clotting issues. It's interfering with the ability of our own antibodies to work. So ozone can help take care of that. Bronchitis, pulmonary stress, COPD, cardiopulmonary disorders. So we're going to talk about some of those pathogens, some of the molds, Fukushima, and what we can do about it. The primary, you probably already know this, it's just a place to start for people who complain I don't give enough foundation. Primary function of the respiratory system is for you to breathe in and out, and your body to take that oxygen into the body where it's needed and get rid of the carbon dioxide that is an exchange in the respiratory system, and even down to our cells where it's dealing with nitric oxide. So we look at the respiratory system, and we have this tube that we breathe in, and it goes down into our lungs and disperses into 2 different lungs, and there's all kinds of little capillaries there that take all of this rich blood and exchange it for waste, and that's how we breathe. A very sophisticated, incredible system. In the lungs, there's all of these little packets called bronchi, and that's what gets inflamed from eating inflammatory foods like flour, meat, sugar. I can't remember all the inflammatory foods, but I will write myself a note and we'll send that to you too, because I know we have a big printout about inflammatory foods. So we try to find a way to look at your vocal print for inflammatory foods, inflammatory toxins, molds, pollen, anything that will cause this first gasp of the body that's taking in air to do it in a proper way. This I did not know, that your diaphragm's job is to push that air in and out. And what I didn't know is that it was shaped like a parachute. I always had this idea that the diaphragm was kind of this flat thing across your body, and was very surprised. And I should have known that, but there it is. You can see a picture of it. It looks very much like a little parachute. And having that diaphragm not work well, you'll see that in paraplegics, tetraplegics, ALS people, Parkinson's people. That diaphragm gets very weak, and it's the note of E. Anyone's interested? I want to let you know that there are resources for you on our site, soundhealthoptions.com. And one of the things people complained about is they didn't know where to find this pastel folder that we're always talking about. So if you go to the downloads and the radiation software, let me show you that. I'm going to our site, go to downloads, radiation software. It's pretty easy. And then go down to the pastel folder. It has all the references and articles that help you use the software that we're looking at. Also, you can download the Abacus program. It'll give you instructions on how to download the Abacus. Only Abacus Q is showing here, and it should be just the straight Abacus. It'll also show you how to download Audacity. It's all in this little 72-page bioacoustic basics book, including your nutrient assimilation chart. They're all there waiting for you. This nutrient assimilation chart is important because it shows you how to cross-reference. And there is another article I'm just thinking about, nutrient and meds. I'll see if we can send that to you tomorrow too. But look at, study, see what histidine does and how it's related to methionine. And if somebody is just overexcited and their GABA is too high and they're nervous and anxious, then how you can get them some methionine to sort of calm them down. We try to give you all the pieces of information to allow all of this to help you start your business. So it's important, that little bioacoustic basic book, it's divided into how to take a vocal print with Audacity, how to use Abacus and see which is most important. And I don't know which frequency domain software it's using as an example, but all the frequency domain software works pretty much the same. Now, the nano voice is a little different, and you'll see that as we go on. So when you're looking at this nutrient assimilation chart, you can look at vitamins, look at pantothenic acid, and see that it needs B and vitamin C and A and E. It's an essential element of coenzyme A, which makes your Krebs cycle work. So based on the printouts that the computer program gives you, you can look at this nutrient assimilation chart and give your client the reports. And if they ask you questions, you can show them or you tell them to take it to their wellness provider. But you can learn to help them. Even if you know nothing about nutrition, certainly you can look and see, well, they need all the rest of the Bs. Are the rest of the Bs in stress? needs vitamin C, A, and E, essential element of coenzyme A. And in this instance, it's high. When a B vitamin is high, it means it's just not being used well, because B vitamins are water soluble. And a lot of that's in your little notebook. So here's the Audacity, Abacus, and Respiration, all of these that we're going to be using this evening, and you can download most of these from downloads, but Audacity is from sourceforge.net. So to help with this class, what you're going to be doing with it, either you've already done this if you've been here before, or as after class, you're going to download the Audacity, and there's the address. Download Abacus if you haven't already, and download Respiration. We ask you to create 3 folders on your desktop, and this is just to help you organize yourself. A client folder, the Waves folder, and a GNS, and that GNS stands for Genesis. And you should have already installed your microphone. And if you signed up for a course with us, either the 2 or the 5-day, then you would have gotten your microphone already. There are tutors available that can help you with taking away files, using Audacity, making your PDF files, and that's just files that can be sent through the internet. Understanding your manual, pulling points, making reports. I don't have all the people here. Judy, would you put your and Phil's information in the chat for people, because you're tutors too, and I just don't have you up here. Kenny Beckett, who works at the office, also will be tutoring with people. So just call the office. I'll put the number in here, 740-6989-119, Monday through Friday, Eastern Time, sort of 9 to 4-ish. Janet Leary, and I don't think she's on with us. She does tutoring. Danny Tilley out of Columbus. Janet's from Cleveland area. Tommy in Arkansas. Judy and Phil are from Florida. And Kenny's from Ohio, too. Anita Vanderhage, she's not with us, but she's out of Canada. She also tutors. I'm going to have to add more to this. One of the things we want to introduce you to as we go through all of this I'm going to have to look more into that, Robert. I don't know exactly how to answer your question right now. I think it's a wonderful graphic, Tommy. The letters perfectly match. Somebody help Melinda with the download. Great. So people have been asking us, what is this HyperHealth that you guys have been using, and how do you use it? So I'm going to open HyperHealth. The company is out of business, but we have bought up their stock. And so we have these available. And soon we will own the last set of software that he did so that we can share it with people. Right now, we're having to pay off the debt where we bought out his stock. But when you open HyperHealth and we look at, say, respiration, and it's disappeared on me. Well, sorry about that. Hold on a second. It just shut itself down. I will have to open it again. I usually don't have any trouble with it when I say run as administrator. So if we wanted to look at some of these things that deal with the respiratory system, acute respiratory distress, asthma, bronchitis, COPD, common cold, cough, cystic fibrosis, all of these things that are going on, we can look them up individually and look them up there comes the topic. So index, and we can put in respiration, and we can look up all different kinds of respiratory system ailments. Here's a common cold, pneumonia. Let's look up asthma. And it will tell us what asthma is, substance that treat it, substance that cause it. It'll show us the food additives that might be in stress. And all of these are in the respiration software. It'll show you chemicals and microorganisms. We're going to show you how to do those microorganisms here in a few minutes. Minerals, excessive consumption of iron, raisins or meat, things like that. This is a wonderful, wonderful program. And if you want a copy of it, and I'm not sure how much it is, I don't know which versions they have left. Some like $50 and some like $60. But it's a forever thing where you used to have to renew it every year. But any of these, you can go back and look up, and it's a wonderful reference, especially if you don't know what you might be looking for. You don't know what would be involved in bronchitis, the amino acids. So you can look at these lists and then compare them to the computer printouts for your client, and you begin to look pretty smart. And by doing that, you also learn a lot. It's $73. Andrea, does that include shipping and all that? Okay, so that includes shipping too, Andrea's saying. She obviously has bought a copy recently. What Amy did was just take what they charged us and just add the shipping to it. We don't intend to make money on people. We just want to get the information out without losing them. So all of these are forms of respiratory distress, and you can look them all up in HyperHealth. For instance, we looked these up under asthma, and these are some of the things that cause asthma reactions in people. And asthma is when you can't catch your breath. So your throat swells up, your bronchioles swell up. Monosodium glutamate, Chinese food, tryptophan, turkey, bisphenol A, plastic bottles, ozone sometimes, aspartame, that artificial sweetener, can be food allergies to garlic and soy milk and things like that. Obesity can cause respiratory issues like COPD. I didn't know it could cause asthma. Pollen, leaky gut. Now, for those of you who are practitioners, look at zonulin and threonine in your database, and that helps take care of a leaky gut. Dehydration, high serotonin, mold, sulfites, like in bologna and lunch meats and preservatives. All of those people have a problem with. I have lost my chat. Hold on one second. zonulin, 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 and threonine, threonine, one of the amino acids. Jessica, just get in touch with Amy tomorrow. The two pathogens that are most commonly associated with asthma are cladosporidium and alternaria. Don't I don't know how to pronounce that. Tommy might. So for your clients, the first thing you're going to do is put a microphone in front of them, give them a little bit of information about what a nice thing this is and how the NIH knows about it. They call us integrative medicine. Explain to them a little bit about what you're going to do with their respiration, if that's their issue, or any of the other things that you download, radiation, insulin resistance, or all of the other programs that you have. And in this, one of the reasons we're doing respiration is there's so much of the Fukushima issues, the radiation in the air that are causing problems. So there's a section there too. So let's start with something very easy to do. Let's look at NanoVoice. NanoVoice is a free download for you, and you can see if someone is or has been exposed or has a likelihood of being exposed to either of these pathogens that we're talking about. Actually, 3 of them come up. Chlamydia pneumoniae, which actually attacks the heart pericardium, but it also can attack the lungs, causing pneumonia and sinusitis. Alternaria, and I think I had it misspelled on the other one because that extra N wasn't in there. It is a plant-based pathogen, can cause things like hay fever, hypersensitivity, and asthma. Chaetosporium, a fungus, deals with molds, and it can cause infections like pneumonia. So the chlamydia pneumoniae is an F sharp and a B. Alternaria is a C, note of C. And the cladosporium is a B. Now, as we can see, we have in the nano this very empty space with notes at the bottom, C, C sharp, D, and so forth. So let's see what this would look like if somebody would have any of these. Now, remember, this is very visually I don't even know what to say about that. If something is at half, then that means that that's pretty okay. That's average. Visually, if it's high, then that's high in the voice. And visually, if it's low. So I don't know the word for that. That it's, Tommy, do you have a word for what this is? That means that what you see is what you get here. And I have totally lost my mouse, so give me a second here while I find something. So normal would be about halfway up and 42 hits. Now there is a note correlate chart that you can download from NanoVoice, and I'll give you information about what each of these notes mean. In our case, we're going to represent them by looking my computer is giving me fits here. Keep losing my mouse. So if we were looking at someone's print and we knew that chlamydia pneumoniae was a C, no, I'm sorry, that chlamydia pneumoniae was an F sharp, that's pretty normal. Normal's 42, around there. That's pretty normal. And B, and that's 40, that's pretty normal. So we can say it's not likely that this person has been exposed to those particular pathogens. We want to look at the color of the notes normally, whether it's blue, green, yellow, or red. But in this case, it's not going to matter which color we're looking at. We just want to see how far each of these things move up on the scale above 42. So even though in the printout you can look at different reactions and what's going on, in this case, we really don't have to consider the color. Let's see where these principles take us. We're looking at numbers and columns. So we want the columns about the same all the way across. Something that is very high, we want to bring down, and something that is low, we want to fill up. So in this case, with D sharp high and A low, those are opposites of each other, and we can substitute. If D sharp is high, then we can give somebody its opposite, an A note, and sort of bring that down. If they're an allopathic responder. If they're a homeopathic responder, we have to give them the D sharp. So brain dominance, usually right or whole brain people will respond to allopathic medicine, where right or left brain people won't. So we do all of this with sound based on the frequencies of the notes. And in this case, we gave the person the note of A, and it didn't work. And then we gave them D sharp, and their voice became coherent all the way across. So let's use that principle and check on a couple of people for these issues that we're talking about with these pathogens. Now, we know that chlamydia pneumoniae is F sharp, 102. That's pretty high. But also B needs to be high, and it's not. So they may have one strain of chlamydia pneumoniae, and I say may, doesn't mean absolutely. Alternaria, C, that's way below normal. And the cladostrium, I wish somebody would tell me how to pronounce that. Judy, I don't understand your questions. Did I misspell respiration, or the computer program corrected it for me and put the wrong word in? NIH, sorry, Melinda, National Institute of Health. So if we're looking at this person's chart, we might say we could look at chlamydia pneumoniae, and maybe, but not probably. One of the things when you have chlamydia pneumoniae is that you have much more tooth tartar. So that would be a question you could ask. How about this person? If we look at the alternaria, the note of C, it's 21. Well, it's more than halfway up. Why is it only 21? You have to consider that you only took 159 samples. So if you divide that by 12 notes, you're going to get a little over 1,244. A little over 12 would be normal. So in this case, the C is high. How about the cladostrium? I'm getting worse as we go on. Cladosporium. The note of B, only 4. Not likely. How about chlamydia pneumoniae? F sharp and B. So it's not likely that this person has any of that, except maybe the alternaria, but there's nothing else to go with it to indicate there's going to be a problem. You could ask if they have issues. They would know if they had a pathogen that didn't allow them to breathe. Pathogens don't go away, where if you're exposed to a plastic bottle, that will come and go. That'll come and go, but these pathogens won't come and go. How about this? What could you say about this person? Which notes are high? F sharp high, No, we got 526 hits, so about 43, 44 is going to be average here. So the chlamydia pneumonia is not high at F sharp. Another strain at B, possibly. Alternaria, C, no, doesn't look like there's anything there. How about the cladosporium? 81, that's a double normal. Maybe, but remember that these pathogens are going to be consistent all the way through. Take a couple vocal prints, talk about a different topic. Just as those prints are very literal, topics can make a difference in how emotions come out, but it doesn't make a difference in how a pathogen would come out. A pathogen is going to be there and be very specific. How about this one? Can you make a guess on your own? Is C high or low? Now remember, there's only 74 hits. 12 notes. So 7 hits. 10 hits is the most we have over here. So 5 hits is going to be kind of normal. A sharp is double. Now, A sharp is the immune system, but it doesn't show these pathogens. There's 5 on that note of B. F sharp is a 0. The note of C is a little high. And the note of B is a little high. So it's not likely this is a pathogen, although there is a hit on the immune system. Likely their kidneys are involved in whatever is going on. How about this person? Well, the first thing you want to conclude is you've probably been sent a file that is a wave rather than just a straight input. There is too much here for it to just be straight input of somebody talking. B is 34, a little low. F sharp is very high, chlamydia pneumonia. And remember, that's the F sharp and B together. Alternaria, C, 30, the highest one being 12, probably not. How about that cladosporium, B? Probably not. So even though F sharp is high, this is probably a wave rather than looking at just sample inputs in time domain. Time domain, how, now, brown, cow, 4 hits. But if we looked at that in frequency domain, which is what a wave file is, you would see many more hits, like 1,000 times more hits. Well, maybe not that many, at least hundreds of times more hits, because the time domain software takes more samples than the nano voice software. So you get the gist there, that you can look at someone's file and see what's really going on by the nano voice, and just remember those notes. C, F sharp, B. I guess those are the ones you have to work with. But you can also look for this in respiration. I mean, in the, I'm trying to answer a question and talk at the same time. You can also look at this by frequency domain. Yes, the E is the diaphragm, but the diaphragm wouldn't have much to do with the pathogen. The pathogen since it's not the note of E, probably wouldn't attack the diaphragm. If all of those notes are equal, is that a pathogen? No, one of them has to be higher. An invading pathogen protein will send the signal higher in the voice. No, not about Clostridium. And Robert, this is Guardian. Would you not post frequencies, please? Okay, as we look at this, we can also look at it from the perspective of frequency domain. We've looked at it from time domain, and that's just to get you close to see if there's any issue with whether or not they've been exposed to pathogens, or whether the pathogens have set up housekeeping and are dealing with the proteins. That's what really cause you to be sick. So frequency domain looks like this. And this is the abacus program. And when you have a pathogen, it looks very different from when you see an inflammation. It looks like this little round hump sort of thing here, but that is it's very different from a real pathogen. And I thought I had a picture of it in here, and I don't. And I will bring this over so you can see what a real pathogen looks like. See that rounded hump? But very, very small increments. And we'll be looking for that in the vocal prints. So this has the hump in it, but it is very large increments. This means there's an inflammation that might have a pathogen origin. Now, you can get a pathogen in your gum and it'll cause an inflammation in the gum or the tooth. So that's what we're looking at here. You want to see if you can find that hump that will make the difference. This is a toxin architecture. And we'll be looking at that this evening when we do, one too far. We'll be looking at that this evening when we show you how to pull point and look at it. When you get the frequency of this aspartame, then you can figure out the antidote. And we have antidotes to all of these pathogens that will help you kill the pathogen, help the body kill the pathogen. This is another kind of toxin. This is actually a poison. It's a very active poison. This is a long-term poison. It's thicker. This is something that's happened very recently. This was a project that we did on Diet Pepsi. So we learned to use those pathogen frequencies to create antidotes in that 5-day professional course. I want to look, yes, thank you, Robert. I want to look if we have sufficiently enough new people that I need to go over this again. And we do have some new people. So how does this all work? How can we look at the voice and see that there's a pathogen in it, or that there's a pathogen in the body some way? Well, go back and look at that grammar article. Go back and look at that FDA article and how it can be programmed with words. It is the frequency of the words and the distances apart of all of these frequencies in the voice that really makes the difference and sends that signal to the brain, because everything happens by way of a frequency in the body. You mechanically hear something, the ear changes it to electrochemical energy, sends it to the brain as a frequency where it's interpreted. And what do we do about this? The brain's hardwired for math, and there's a great Discovery Channel video that shows how babies from about 8 months old are able to see what's going on and understand math and the idea of more and less. So as we moved into more sophisticated and different languages, our language still held the codes, no matter what language you're speaking, and that's that article that Ed Young wrote. So all this goes through the recurrent laryngeal nerve that is in the parasympathetic nerve bundle, and that recurrent laryngeal nerve sends the signals from the vocal cord to the brain. It's a direct conduit to the brain. So that's how the voice is a manifestation of all that you are. They knew that billions of years ago. I think if you read any of Jill Matson's books, you'll realize that there used to be a way to tell what was going on with somebody just from their voice. And some people can still do it. John Edwards, who reads for people about their lost relatives, said, talk to me, tell me your name, just talk to me. And from your words, he can hear what's going on. It's a talent I think we've lost when people begin to lie. So as we look at that 10th cranial nerve and that parasympathetic nerve bundle that keeps everything in stasis, then we begin to realize how the communication through words and frequencies and sound can be programmed to and from the brain, from our own ears and from our own voice. So there is mathematical code, and we have just begun to understand them and decode them. Yes, thank you, Robert. Homeopathic gives same note. Allopathic reciprocal? No. Melinda, allopathic is what you see, it's what you get. If you have A missing, give him A. If you have A too high, give him the opposite. Well, think about homeopathic as you get bit by a tick, and so they give you a little more of a tick tincture and make your body get up and do something about it. So they give you more of what you've already got. Where allopathic medicine, you get bit by a tick and they give you doxycycline trying to get rid of the pathogen. We've just decoded the math, and one of the things that we think is going on with Obamacare, and you'll clearly see that it is run by the pharmaceutical companies. Once you look at that link we posted, we think that people are going to have less and less control, or dominion is the word we use, over their own health. So that's the reason we've created all of this, because we know that even though string theory, modern string theory, tells or explains how the body recuperates itself, remakes itself, we know that we've tapped into the RNA of how to make the body use the proteins, where the string theory is the pattern. They don't know what makes you make a new eyeball or whatever you're making. We think we have tapped into that. We have seen it so many times. We were talking before the show about a man who came in who they said had Parkinson's. He really had stiff man syndrome, and it was from being poisoned by strontium, which he lives on the West Coast, and we think that he's right in the path of that Fukushima poison. So we gave him antidotes, and the first day in, he was running down the steps where he couldn't hardly even struggle up the steps. So we think we've tapped into a way to deal with this, and that's why we're trying to give this away as much as we can to the public so they can take it to their community. I just saw a big thing on Huckabee that they were struggling with, if we get hit with sarin gas, how could we possibly get the antidote to people so quickly? And the antidote they were talking about, as I had to turn around and look it up, was atropine. Well, what if everybody carried a little tone box that had atropine in it that would be their antidote to sarin gas? Or what if you could push a button in every building or subway or railroad car and it would produce a frequency for atropine? It, for some people, would help and some people might hinder because of that allopathic, homeopathic issue. But if you had your own tone box, you could have your own antidotes right with you all the time. We don't have to allow somebody else to have dominion over our health. That is totally personal. And I should love Obamacare because it's going to make everybody want what we have. And we're trying to get a bioacoustic center in every community to get ready for this. But there's a lot of Obamacare that is not good. A few things are. Pre-existing conditions, for one, I think is a good thing. I just did an evaluation of Bill Clinton's voice for a radio station on whether or not he was sincere or somebody paid him to endorse Obamacare. He did it because he thought it was going to be universally good for the people. But he also had an intellectual wedge in there about self-approval and ego. So, well, not ego, just self-approval. It was not about ego and it was not about money. He is sincere that this is for the good of the people. But he has the rest of his chart. I should just look that up for you guys, because the rest of the chart is more full. September, Bill Clinton on Obamacare. And when we look at Clinton, and this was very recently that he did this, there's no ego here. And there's no money stuff, F and F chart. He doesn't know how it's going to play out, but he knows it's for the good of the people, that note of B. That is very, very high in his chart. But you can look at some of his disconnect, too, in his fantasy. His right brain stuff says this is not, he doesn't support it emotionally. He supports it intellectually, but not emotionally, because his emotions are removed from where they ought to be in his octave. His real issue is he thinks this will help people. Now, what is his idea of helping people as opposed to Obama's idea of helping people? Well, Obama only has this note of blue, and that's all. He thinks it's for the good of the people, but he's not explaining what the good of the people really means. So as we look at why we're trying to scurry and create this, that's one of my reasons. I think people are going to need us tremendously, as we've discovered that the body has the ability to self-diagnose and reorganize itself. We want to spread this notion of self-health. What can people do to help themselves? Things like this pandemic, swine flu, every year we put out the frequencies. And in general terms, we put them out. So anybody has a rice machine or any kind of device. Now, our devices are analog, and they speak to the brain more readily than a digital form of a generator. But it's better than nothing. And as our immune system is getting hacked on by vaccination, by bad air, by bad food, by stress, by whatever is going on, we really need to look at supporting that immune system and away from pathogens and anything that we possibly can. So that's why we want to look at this. So the first thing you're going to do is install and look at your mic. Now, we have found a mic that we think is great. I think we put it on our site. Let me go see if it's on our site. I don't like this term store. I'm going to put shop up there. Here's the little microphone from Samson. It's called a Go mic, and we've tested it. It works fine. It's very, very small, much smaller than a pack of cigarettes, much thinner, maybe a little longer. But it works well for traveling. It's very sturdy, and it's not very expensive like the big Samson mic. We also have found a pulse oximeter. Actually, one of the practitioners found it. I don't remember who. And this will work with your iPhone or your iPad. We've tested it, and it's very accurate. Robert, what are you asking? I mean, the schools they attended. Wow, Ann and Robert have this great conversation going on. Well, I can't pay attention to that right now, but I will tell you that Gaddafi, remember how he got pushed out of, was it Libya or Syria? Gaddafi's voice and Obama's voice are almost identical. And Gaddafi was a religious zealot. And they took him out of office as the ruler. It's Libya? Okay. But when you look, I'm just going to bring this up. We're getting off the track here, but I think this is important information. This is about who do you want to believe. So there's Gaddafi's voice. Just that blue line. There's lots up here in fantasy ego. Now let's open Obama. I warned them when they asked me to do this, what was going to happen with Gaddafi. I said, it's going to stand and fight. He's an absolute religious zealot. He thinks he's right. And he's going to stand and fight till the death. So Gaddafi on the left here. And Obama on the right. What do you think? And when you look at Obama's numbers, you can absolutely tell that he is disjointed in what he's thinking, just like Gaddafi here. 206 ego for Gaddafi, 317 ego for Obama. There's a separation in the foundation up into fantasy. There's fantasy justice, not so much for Gaddafi. His stuff is betterment of the people. They have those almost reversed, where betterment of the people for Obama is 87, for Gaddafi 333. So you know he has something behind him that he thinks is going to protect him from all evil. It's probably his religion. But when you look at both of these, you can see that their intent on doing what's right, what they think is right for the people. But who gets to say what's right for the people? Does the king? Does God? Does Muhammad? Who gets to say what's right? Boy, how did we get on that? Oh, it was from Robert and Ann's conversation in the chat. Khalifa was somewhat moderate by Arab Sunnis. In some ways, he's just like Assad. I have Assad's voice too. Did you see it? Would you like to see Assad's voice? I could tell them what's going to happen before it ever happens by looking at their voice. It's happened so many times, from Jerry Sandusky to Gaddafi to Mubarak. Oh, look at that. Pure ego. Ego, ego, ego. But look at his number on justice, 2,132. On self-approval, 2,528. Impossible scores. I never seen anybody like that. So I did it again. This was just a couple of sentences. And when I did it again with the whole thing, 13,112. 13,337 in fantasy self-approval and justice. This guy's disconnected from reality. And as I did that, Robert said, oh, yes, I've seen that. I shouldn't have shown it. Okay, so back to microphones. This one is great to take with you. We have not tested it yet for the iPad. We need to do that. It needs a different connection so that you can take your iPad with you and record whatever is going on and then go ahead and transfer it. So from getting that microphone ready to downloading Audacity, audacity.sourceforge.net, and this is behind the times. It should be 2.2. So I am going to abandon this. Just for those of you who don't know how to get to Audacity, audacity.sourceforge.net. And I am going to abandon this because some of the information is old, and just go looking at the respiration program. Do we have any volunteers that have respiratory problems? Marian, don't you have some respiratory problems with your diaphragm? No volunteers? Okay, I will go ahead and open the program. If I could spell it right, it'd come up.
Probably do have, Sherry.
You do have them, Marion? Would you be our guinea pig?
Sure, why not?
Can you call me? I'm going to put my phone number in here for you.
I don't have a land phone.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll just try it this way then. Spiratn. Lift up the S again. Now, you'll get to see on Marion's, she has some breathing issues, and we talked about this a little bit in one of the classes, but you can see when she takes a breath that there is an odd sound that comes up. Probably on allergy stuff, David, too. I think we'll have to use one like today. Okay, we've got several volunteers coming up here. Melinda and Phyllis both. Let's see how far we can get. So I'm going to open a respiration program. You've got a lot of static in your mic. In that Bioacoustic Basics book, you can look up all the parameters and preferences that you have to use here. So it's 32,016 mono. Can you back off from your mic just a little bit, Marion, so we don't get your breathing noises?
Is it better?
Yes. Okay, go ahead and talk.
Okay. Well, I'm not really doing that well. I still have a tremor, and I have very weak. I have a lot of pain in my knees, and I have trouble with anything. Right now, I'm in bed with my computer by my side. I don't seem to be responding to anything that comes my way. I've been trying to detox. I figure that's a major issue.
Okay.
Uranium.
Thanks. Did I send you the GNS files for Krebs? Because you can just tell your Krebs cycle is way down.
I'm very weak.
Let me write myself a note to send you the Krebs GNS file so you can check yourself. Or you can just send me your vocal profile.
Okay.
We'll check it from here too. Okay, this doesn't look like it is vocal print or vocal sound, so I'm going to play it and see. No, it's too little clop, so I'm going to cut that out. Now I don't see the breathing sound in here so much, but there's several little blank spaces we could just chop out of here. I let it go a little long so we could chop these out. 35 seconds. See, I can chop this one out. I just hit the little pair of scissors. All of these instructions are in your book. When we look at these vocal prints, I got the hiccups. Okay, acceptable volume. Volume too loud. There wasn't any examples of this in her print, so I'll just do it this way. Volume too low. So these are things that you're going to look for. So we're going to save this. Not save it. I say that each time and I shouldn't. We're going to export it. Marion, respiration. And I'm going to put the date there, 09/29/13. And it's being saved in the waves file, one of those files we asked you to create when we started. I'm not going to kill that. I'm just going to minimize it and then open the Abacus. Now, I'm doing this from home, so I only have the Abacus Q. You guys will have a slightly different Abacus than I have. I have the research one. So we're going to look at the desktop, look at waves. There's Marion. And it'll bring this information in as she was speaking. But, Marion, there's mold in your chart.
That doesn't surprise me. Our basement was flooded, and we had a good bit of mold because of that.
Yeah, this little architecture right here looks like mold. Usually there's 2 or 3 of them right in a row. We want everything in the gray grid, and most of yours is above the gray grid. So we would want to run you through several programs, not just respiration, but run yourself through mapping and look at your resources. And then there's another one called the Krebs cycle. But right now we're going to look at respiration. So we punch the little button, and there's the points that it pulled. For that big split, I want to look at that. But I can't, not in this setting. I forget your birthday.
3/4/37.
3/4/37. So we've got all the points. Look at them, 57, 197. Is there any that we want to change? Maybe I would get rid of these lower ones. There's 3 of them there right in a row. We'll leave the one that's showing inflammation and maybe take some of these others up here that are higher. So you can pull all these points manually, but if you start pulling all your points manually, it's just going to be more work than you can possibly do. You'll get to the same place if you just substitute a few of them. But don't go pulling everything manually all the time. It'll just drive you crazy, cost you a lot of time, and you're wasting time when you do it that way. So we pulled some of these other highs in here.
Will this program accept it doesn't have 6 lows?
Oh, it does. Everything is high here. We're going to have to fake it. For the P program, the public program, we have to have 6 highs and 6 lows. And we know everything is high, so we're just going to mark some of these low. The first 6 is low, but we'll know everything is high anyway. Thanks for bringing that up, but it won't make any difference how we mark it because they're all high. So I'm going to punch a button and save this in my GNS file. That's the Genesis file. And now we're ready to go to work. Respiration. So I'm going to open a client. Go to that desktop. My GNS files. And open the data. And we can look at whatever reports we want to look at. Let's look at muscles and proteins, maybe some pathogens, vitamins. What else would be good? Enzymes for using your incoming resources. Well, maybe genomes. Let's look at that. Okay, these are muscles, so sternocleidomastoid, and that's down behind the ear and down the shoulder. And transverse abdominis. Do you have trouble turning over in bed?
Definitely, and the jaw is always locked up and tremors.
Well, they're very high, so we need to get those relaxed and reduced. And I'll send you all this as soon as we get. Look at this. Mycoplasma pneumonia, very, very high. I will send you your reports with the frequencies on them. Need to get that under control. Lactoferrin. Migration, respiration. Again, a protein. We just did a presentation that had lactoferrin in it. I'll go look that up because I can't remember all of what it did in the body. It seems to me it dealt with the immune system. Vitamins, coenzyme Q10, very high. Are you taking that?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it looks like it's not working. We should go back and see what supports coenzyme Q10. I don't think that's on our nutrition report. Let me see. Coenzyme Q10. There it is. Has the ability to counter histamine. Vitamin E helps preserve it and can be synthesized from tyrosine. And since you've had an operation on your thyroid, that might be hard.
operation on my saliva gland, not the thyroid. I do have thyroid issues.
Oh, okay. Somehow I thought you had thyroid issues.
I have thyroid issues. The surgery removed the saliva gland.
Okay. It has the ability to counter histamine, like methionine. Vitamin E helps preserve. We're just going to have to use a formula to get that up and running because it is just too high right now. When it's too high like this, the body has it in there, but it's just not using it. Yeah. Just like when we look at your abacus, everything is high above normal. You have it in there, but it's just not working very well.
Yeah, they also removed half of one lung.
Oh, well, that would certainly cause some breathing problems.
Yes.
It also says PABA is high, parabenzoic acid, and I'm not sure if PABA is in our database. Yep, here it is. Needs B group vitamins, folic acid, basic constituent of folate, which helps the body reconstitute itself. Helps in the assimilation of pantothenic acid. That's B5, and that's a precursor to coenzyme A that helps your Krebs cycle. So that may be one of the issues with your Krebs cycle. But we'll run that and see. So any of the rest you'd like to look at? Minerals, medications, minerals, hormones.
What's in the folate cycle? That seems to come up a lot for me.
What's in the folate cycle? Okay, hold on a second. We need to look at the clean methylation map. So look at that. And you can find this at heartfixer.com. Would somebody put that in the chat for us as that's loading? Here is the cycle. So thiamine, folate, MTHFR, which is genetic methionine issues here. So all of this deals with that folate issue. But you could probably go to Wikipedia and look up folate pathway.
Yeah, I tried that.
Well, let me write myself a note and I'll see what I can find. Folate pathway. It has a lot to do with the Krebs cycle too, so I will go look at that. Thank you, Judy. So let's look at your hormones, minerals, and toxins, see if we have anything there. Codeine is high. Are you on codeine?
No.
So codeine is the same frequency, or very near the same frequency as the diaphragm. So that may be it. Phosphorus is low. It's almost impossible to have phosphorus low unless your Krebs cycle, energy cycle is low.
There is no energy. You can't get any lower, my husband said.
Well, I'm going to send you the Krebs cycle stuff as soon as we look at this. Look, aluminum and mercury says it's high. Are you taking anything to detox?
Yes, I've been following Dr. Greenberg, or whatever, detox program.
The Colorex?
Yes.
90 days.
Are you following up with ATP that will allow the toxins to bind and not just resettle in the body? When you're doing a detox on these minerals, you need to use ATP with it because it'll bind with that toxic metal.
The supplement or the frequency?
Look, it is an ATP, and you could do the frequency too if you want. It'll make it more potent.
Okay.
It'll help bind with those toxins that the Colorex releases.
Okay.
So I will send this to you. Use for breathing. Well, these are just the muscles for breathing, and you did have the transverse abdominal out.
The last I checked, the uranium was gone.
That's good. I don't think that's in this database.
No.
But I'll send this to you. Is the pathway in liver that connects the central nervous system. Jessica, that's a form of niacin, and she does have niacin in stress. Okay, well, I will send this to you, and because you're a practitioner already, then you'll know what to do with the frequencies, particularly the Krebs cycle, and that's what I'm here is majorly in stress with you. Thank you, Marion.
I'm always a challenge case.
You are. I wish we were closer, or I could just teleport over there.
I wish you were closer too.
Are you in New Jersey or Florida?
I'm in Jersey now.
Okay. I'm going to mute your mic, and I'll be in touch after the show.
Okay, fine.
Okay, we had two other people. Melinda said she would volunteer, and who was the other one? And Phyllis, Melinda and Phyllis. I didn't look up the mold because I would have had to use the frequency, Phyllis. I didn't want to do that on the air in a guardian class, but I will do it later after the class is over, and I'll send the whole report to Marion. I want to know what that mold is too. So we're going to do the same thing with Melinda. You were on first, and then Phyllis. So we're going to start with audacity. Okay, Melinda, you ready to talk to us? We're going to do this in a whirlwind.
Here now.
Okay, start.
Okay, thank you, Sherry, for taking me on as a volunteer. I've been having quite a bit of, excuse me, coughing fits over and over, and a little bit of kind of a mucousy chest lately as well. So I'm hoping we can get to the bottom of what's going on with this cough. It seems to fluctuate between dry and wet. Excuse me. There we go. And
Melinda, so, you're a practitioner, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to send over to you the frequency for coughing and put it on if you've got it SMAD, and tell us how it works, either this or the opposite. But this usually will stop coughing.
Sherry, I don't have a SMAD. Last time I checked.
See if you can get it in the tone box while you're setting listening.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn my mic off now.
Okay. And the other thing is to use LaCiel. That is a CD that will usually take care of any kind of cough and bronchitis and that kind of thing. So we're going to export this. I'm going to call it Melinda. Put it in my waves file. Quickly jump over to my abacus. Now remember, you guys can download this abacus if you don't have it. For the new people, well, you should already have it. If yours is run out, just download it again. So I'm going to look at my waves files. There's Melinda. Boom, 9, 29, 13. 09, 29. Put a 4 in there. It shouldn't be in there. Date of birth. Oh, she turned off her mic. I just put the default in there. Female and cough.
11/11/1960.
Wish you had a SMED. We could just punch that in there. Okay, we're going to have this pull points. Pull points. See this little blob of, looks like ink right here? It didn't pull this, but this is an inflammation. So I'm going to have to sacrifice something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lows. I'll have to sacrifice this little guy so that I can grab this one. Now, as a practitioner, you could mark this with an I for inflammation. But for right now, we have to mark it with a high, and we have to get one more low out of here somehow. What could we do without? Let's do without this one. And even though we don't have anything that's particularly low, we're just going to have to stake it here, because on the public versions of this, we have to have 6 highs and 6 lows. Now, see this right here? This is almost mold. If these were nearly the same, but when you see those wide open, repeated, and you've got some of the same here, that to me is mold also. So we should look at that afterwards. So high and high. And we'll export that, save it into our GNS files. Now we can open our respiration. What happened to my respiration? Did I kill it? Didn't mean to. Just import. Once you get that set of frequencies, it's pretty easy from then on. So you have a cough, so let's look at pathogens. Let's look at toxins. Maybe muscles of the throat, minerals can help with that. Flavonoids can. And let's look at your note correlate chart and see where we're going. The note correlate chart you can download from the NanoVoice site, and we look at anything that is 4 or more. And you have an 8 on D, an 8. 4 is a red flag. 8 is a good grief. Let's clean this up. Liver, pancreas, gallbladder, enzymes, hormones, all of that comes out of the liver. We probably, unless you're just on a mission to fix people, issues and everything, we need to clean up your liver, pancreas, and gallbladder. Now, I don't want to scare you, but I want you to look at your stuff about heart, because check your heart when you're coughing, because sometimes a cough will put your heart back into rhythm.
Okay.
Husband's cough due to blood pressure meds. Okay, 3 pains in long term. Yes, Robert is a practitioner. I'm pointing out that we didn't look at the pain architecture. Or what we, is this for Melinda's? There's pain architecture. Pycnogenol, that's from pine bark. Can you get, well, I think it's from pine bark. Can you get that from pine nuts, pycnogenol? I don't know. But it might be a frequency that's also the same as something else. So we'll look at that. Phosphorus low here too now. Marion had that. When you have low phosphorus, that usually is indicative of some kind of energy problem. Rectus abdominis, abdominis C4. Nervous system, nose, lips, mouth, eustachian tubes. I'd go to that C4 and give myself those frequencies and see if that cough would slow down. Did you put the numbers in your tone box?
I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it right now.
Okay. Look at this. You've got the pathogen, the cladosporium high, which can be an underlying cause of cough and respiration issues. You need to go back, and I'll send these to you when we're finished. Grapefruit extract, yes, and that would be very helpful. But in this one, you might want to use the reciprocal or the -1 of the pathogen, or look in your chapter 6 in your textbook and look at some of your pathogen protocols.
Mary?
Yes.
As a student, this is really overwhelming. So I'm just going to take it one step at a time. And right now I'm just doing the tone you sent me, and then maybe someone can help me with the rest of this on the staff later or my tutor.
Okay, but there is a formula protocol to get rid of and to kill pathogens. Ask in the, okay, let me write this down. Sunday review, how to kill pathogens, or specialized formulas. I will try to cover that when we do our Sunday advanced class. How's that? But Lucille should take care of that too. Did you get one of those with your kit? The Lucille?
Yes, I did. It's in my flash drive, I think.
Try that, but try the 2014 first. If any of you want to know about how to deal with specialized formulas, please write to me and I'll try to cover those on Sunday class. Let's look at, we didn't have any toxins. If we just mark toxins and hit run report, nothing comes up. So that means you didn't have any toxins that were in stress. Fatty acids, enzymes, especially look at fatty acids. Some of your vitamins could, because your liver is such high things here. Prostaglandins E2, those are the bad guys. That's inflammation. Elevated secretions may and production may occur with chronic bronchitis. So use that frequency and let me know what goes on, and then play that last cell. Serotonin's too high. Excessive amounts circulating may induce asthma. No, just use the frequency I gave you on both A and B sides, or put that frequency in on one side and then maybe another channel put its opposite. So that I have to use the right-hand side of that. And some of you are out there thinking, good grief, what is she talking about? I've never been there. I'm sorry for talking over your head, but we have some real-life opportunity here to try to take care of people's issues. Last week, we had a little girl who dropped a big rock on her foot, and we were right in the middle of class, but it was a great opportunity to watch this in action. So I'd want to get rid of that inflammation, get rid of inflammatory foods, carbon dioxide high. Wow, okay. Alpha-1 antitrypsin may help prevent destruction of elastic fibers of the lungs. Well, that would be good, because that's high, so let's leave it alone. lauric acid may attack the lipid membranes of the influenza virus, and that's high. Let's leave it high. I could conclude from that that you've got some kind of flu or virus or pathogen coming at you. Wow, and look at your B's and C's. Vitamin C is high and not working. Back to that nutrient assimilation chart, looking at vitamin C, biflavonoids, berries, cantaloupe, anything with biflavonoids, calcium, magnesium, helps metabolize folic acid. There's one for Marion, helps metabolize folic acid. So look at all of this about vitamin C. Rose hips is a good natural vitamin C that has some of the biflavonoids already in it. Anne says lauric acid found in coconut oil. Okay? But lots of vitamins here not doing what they ought to do. Mainly vitamin C. Does that help any? Did the sound help your cough? Are you able to listen to it now? Okay, we have about
everything calmed out. Yes, thank you.
Isn't that awesome?
I see. It's amazing. I'm exhausted from coughing, but I feel so much better.
Well, use the alveoli to kill those bugs, and use that to help with your cough. Now, if you're coughing up grime and grunge, let that happen because you need to get all that mucus out of there. The last part of any kind of cold or infection is the mucus coming out because it's full of the garbage that your body's trying to get rid of. But a dry cough isn't any good. But a productive cough, you know, get that junk out of there.
Sherry, can you do me a wonderful favor and send me the files?
I can.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd love to learn from it.
Let me write myself a note of who I need to send the stuff to because I am going to forget if I don't. Okay. Phyllis was the other volunteer, and I'm kind of shortening this up in hopes that we can get more different kinds of examples. So with Marion, excuse me, we had the Krebs cycle and the diaphragm and the energy was causing her breathing and her stomach muscle. In Melissa, we had a couple of stomach muscles. Mainly, we had an invading pathogen that was causing her a problem. Okay, Phyllis, are you ready to give us a vocal print?
Hi, Sherry.
Turn your speaker up on that end.
This again?
Oh, you still have a speaker on wherever you are.
Try it one more time.
Okay, there's still a little bit of feedback, but we'll try it. Okay, go.
Can't hear it.
Okay, you've blocked out your microphone now.
Okay, I've had a long-term, low-grade type of sinus infection probably since I was a child. Many bouts of tonsillitis and antibiotics, and seems to have been prevalent with allergies and environmental as well as animal reactions, and probably some foods, but I couldn't really identify what those were over the years. Mostly gets worse with barometric changes when the air pressure decreases with low pressure types of things. Okay. Sinus generally on one side, usually on the right side.
I have some suggestions. Nutribiotic grapefruit extract, somebody brought that up, and It is an anti-hemattic gluten. It does not allow invading pathogens to adhere to the cell. Grapefruit seed extract by Nutribiotic also has a nose spray and ear drops. So if you go about it from all those different directions, now only use the nose spray and the ear drops like once a day. If you try to use it as a real nose spray, it really doesn't work. But using it that way, and also that Laciel, which is on your thumb drive from class. I'm trying to talk and do two things at once here. I'm going to say Phyllis respiration. You've got some kind of infection in there, and sometimes Epstein-Barr will go into the ears and nose and throat. It's commonly called mononucleosis when we were in school years ago. Phyllis, oh, she says she's taking the drops. Are you taking the drops that you eat, or putting them in your ear, or putting them up your nose? Drinking it. Boy, those drops taste terrible. There's pills too that you can take. But I think that liquid stuff tastes like a skid mark on your tongue. It's just awful. So I prefer do the tablet. Or, go on Nutribiotic site, and they're the most potent ones. That'll usually kill that bacteria. Doing it about once a week will usually help get it down. It is really hard to get that oily taste off your tongue. It tastes like something very acidic is driven over your tongue, like alum. It's like alum. I don't know if you've ever had alum on your tongue. Now we have a couple of those arches here. There's a nice one right there. That's a nice arch. I would say that's where your pathogen is going to show up, and it's showing up in long term here. 120 and what is this one? 24. Hold the points. See what comes up. This 120 here might be electric. Do you have any electric wires running over your microphone wire? Now there's only 3 lows, and your lows are not significant. They are right close to norm, right close to this gray grid. So I'm going to take away the lows and go up here and see if I can grab some more of these highs where this little archy thing is. See if we have some Epstein-Barr or something in here. That's what I would look for. See, I want to look at this. There is a slice right here too, and I can't look at that, not while we're doing things this way. But I'm going to look at anything that's open and high and got a lot of ink around it. So even though all of those are high, I'm going to mark them as low. We already know everything's high, but we're just cheating here, trying to get all of this done. ARDS 092913. Date of birth, you want to give me that? You can cheat if you want. We'll just put in the default female and low grade sinus ear problem. Okay, let's save that in our GNS file. That just keeps us organized. Then go into our respiration program and put it in any program. After you get those numbers, you just go be putting it in any place. So you said inflammation. So let's look at pathogens. Let's look at proteins. Look at those two first. Adenovirus, chlamydia, pneumonia, but that's low, so we don't care. The sporidium is low, we don't care. Although I have seen this happen with Epstein-Barr, that it'll go low when it goes into hiding. Adenovirus, that is a virus on a bacteria. May cause acute bronchitis. You can have that all your life. Here's another adenovirus, a different kind that's high. And a mycoplasma pneumonia. I would go after those pathogens. And I will send you this in the SE version right when we get finished. Lactoferrin. Now, this is one of the same things that Marion had. I'll have to look it up. It might be associated with inflammation. But certainly those bacteria and proteins are a problem. We could also look at some of the things that could help you detox. Some of this, enzymes, flavonoids, amino acids. Acetylcarnitine high can cause damage and hypoxia. You don't want acetylcarnitine not usable because it feeds the heart muscle. Cysteine is low. Cysteine hits with cystine that helps the body use B12 and acetylcysteine, which is just good for keeping your body in good working order. Pangamic acid. I don't remember what pangamic acid is about. We'd have to look it up. For the transportation of oxygen, and has dimethylglycine content. That would be on the 5th circle of that map here, dimethylglycine. That dimethyl and trimethylglycine feed the muscles. So your muscles might be getting stiff when you set. Elastase. Excessive activity damages the cystic fibrosis, lungs of cystic fibrosis, causes irreversible damage by damaging or destroying elastin fibers. So we want to get that lowered, absolutely. Sounds like a bad guy. Cobalt high and low, and remember that when you have something high and low, it usually means that it is a muscle with the same frequency. But in your case, cobalt is a precursor to B12, and B12 works with cysteine and cystine to help control homocysteine in the system, which is over here. It helps you use sulfur and the cofactors for your nutrients, B6, B5, there's the cysteine, alpha-ketoglutarate from the Krebs cycle, taurine that works with your acetylcarnitine. So you might want to check yourself on mapping. Do you have mapping, Phyllis? Oh, you're right, Larry. Larry says we faked this low stuff. Everything was high. We're going to have to go back and look at that with fresh eyes. Let's run these again because Larry called us on that. B5, which is a precursor to your Krebs cycle. Vitamin D, needed by every cell in the body. We have a pure encapsulation that has a really good form of vitamin D. It's a doctor level, and if you can't get it, let Amy know at the office and she'll get you some. Just drips. Okay, let's go back and look again Oh, no, I didn't click the right stuff. We wanted to look at pathogens. And remember that everything we did there was high. Larry remembered, I didn't. So this chlamydia pneumoniae that's all low, it's really all high because we faked those lows, remember? So we definitely want to look at that. It's not that it's here 3 times, it just has 3 different explanations. But you have a lot of pathogens in here. And that's one of the great things about the grapefruit seed extract, is that it doesn't differentiate whatever pathogen is. It just doesn't let it lay down and attach to your cells. So it's kind of all over, all at once. I don't know why the government just doesn't pass out truckloads of that stuff for flu. Because if you take it on a regular basis, you're not going to get the bad stuff. Thank you, Larry, for pointing that out. We would have gone right on being ignorant about the whole thing. I'll send these GNS files to you, although you running your own would be better because you're going through my system here. But certainly there's some pathogens that can cause some respiratory issues. I don't know if we have grapefruit seed extract stuff in our, let me write myself a note, grapefruit, in our shop. But in order to get any kind of decent price, you have to buy 12 at a time. And we keep it around for staff all the time. So I think you could check with Amy at the office and see if she'll sell you one of our bottles. Judy Van Dyne, are you trying to write me a message? Oops, she says, looking at the reports, which pathogens would you recommend doing sound presentation? Okay, as a practitioner, I would go back and look at each of these frequencies, and whatever frequency was the highest, that's where I'd go. If this was the chlamydia pneumoniae, I'd go there. If it was the adenovirus, I'd go there. But you look at the highest of the high, and I especially wanted to look, somebody had a little arch here that I wanted to look at. I'd certainly look at this for mold. This is Marion's. Who had, I think, nope, that wasn't it. I would say there's a lot of mold in this chart because you can kind of see it all over. But somebody had a little, here it is, inflammation arch. I would look at those numbers, what are in there. So as soon as we close, I'm going to send all this over to people so that they can look up their own stuff. Melinda, do you have respiration? Phyllis, do you have respiration? Melinda does. Okay. Phyllis? Not respiration. Okay. I'll go ahead and send your reports over to you so we can look all this up. Oh, that was a quick whirlwind, 2 hours. I can't believe it's up already. So I certainly enjoyed sharing this program with you. It's one of the new ones that was created this year. So new ones all the time. We're working on asthma right now. Tommy has it, working on it, so we'll have that soon. We're working on lymph, lupus, fatty liver. So a lot of them, and mainly it's from your requests because you needed them for your clients. The Krebs cycle one is just an incredible support. Mapping is good, maintenance and repair, and the Krebs cycle. So, well, Tommy works wonderfully with creating all of this. Without Tommy, we wouldn't have the computer program. And Pauline Ward has been doing a lot of research for us, as has Carol Cooper. She has done most of the research on these programs, especially the lupus one she just finished. I think she did the lymph one too. So a lot of people pulling together. Remember to get in touch with Judy about what you would like to see at conference. Let us know what you'd like to see on the Sunday classes and Sunday reviews and Guardian, and we'll try to get a lot of this out to people. We're hoping that we can get some of you trained to take some of these public programs to your own community if you feel like you're ready to teach. And I know Phil and Judy are already teaching and bringing people to the family. So we all want to make a difference. And with that in mind, thank you for being here. And on October 12th, we have a march against Monsanto. All right. Check your area to see if you have one and if you can participate. Okay. Would appreciate discussing mold. Okay. Mold at a review class. I will try to find some data for that. I don't think Tommy, Tommy still on with us? No, I don't see him. But I will let him know that you would, maybe I can combine the two with these specialized formulas. Yes, great session. Remember that we'll try to have it up and running in a couple of days for you, and they'll be sending you information, these articles, and the link to it. They may not be able to send them together, but they'll certainly get them to you. For those of you who want to grab the chat, go in, click anywhere on the chat, do Control-A, that'll grab it all for you. Lots of good information in there today. And Control-C to copy it, and then just go open a Microsoft Word and paste it in there. So thank you for being here. It was recorded. Moon didn't even have to remind me this time, and she always has to remind me. So we'll see you next month, and I don't know what we're doing. If you have any ideas, let us know. I think it's detox, but I can't remember. See you later.